Welcome back to the Holistic Salon Blueprint podcast, if I can say that 5 times fast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and I am so excited to have yet another amazing entrepreneur with us today, Woods. I almost said Serena Williams.
I get that a lot.
I'm sure you do. Like it just flows off the tongue so easy. Um, but you are the founder of the Beauty Factory, and I am so excited to have your input in on the podcast and just sharing what you do because like we talked a little bit but before we started recording is this is such an amazing topic, and also I think so many people just haven't realized how many of us out there are actually doing the work behind the scenes to create these safe, clean, sustainable environments. And you for sure are one of them. Welcome to the Salon Owner's Holistic Blueprint, your podcast for unlocking the secrets to a thriving salon business through holistic practices. I'm Jacqueline Rodriguez, your host. And join me each week as we explore wellness, sustainability, and business success. Everything from attracting conscious clients to adopting eco-friendly practices. We're going to cover it all to elevate your salon business. Welcome back to the Holistic Salon Blueprint podcast, if I can say that 5 times fast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and I am so excited to have yet another amazing entrepreneur with us today, Woods. I almost said Serena Williams.
I get that a lot.
I'm sure you do. Like it just flows off the tongue so easy. But you are the founder of the Beauty Factory, and I am so excited to have your input in on the podcast and just sharing what you do because like we talked a little bit but before we started recording is this is such an amazing topic, and also I think so many people just haven't realized how many of us out there are actually doing the work behind the scenes to create these safe, clean, sustainable environments. And you for sure are one of them. So tell us a little bit about you and how you got started with the Beauty Factory.
Okay, well, I've been doing hair for 26 years, and I've been a salon owner for 7. When I opened a salon, it was actually just a one-person studio, and my lifestyle at home is we eat organic, locally grown, like we know our farmers. We're very careful about what we put on our bodies and are just really conscious of how we consume, especially in a time when fast is better and is like everybody's looking for something a little bit faster. So whenever I decided to open a salon, I wanted to open a salon that aligned with that part of my life. So I partnered with Green Circle Salons, and we send all of our salon waste to them. I did research to see the cleanest products that I could use as far as colors and the shampoos and conditioners and the things that I could sell that were still very high quality. And I found, I mean, you're going to, as you're looking at all of the options, you need to find something that is easy to attain, is cost effective, but also makes less of a negative impact on the environment. So it's not going to be perfect. You're still going to, if you're coloring hair, you have chemicals. So it's not going to be perfect, but I can do anything that I can do to be green and create a holistic environment for my customers. That's what I'm going to do. But my one-person studio grew into a full-size salon where we now have 5 chairs, and we are all recycling our salon waste and using clean products on our clients. And when you walk in, it doesn't smell like you're walking into a salon. There are certain things we avoid, like straighteners and perms. So it doesn't smell like you're walking into a salon. It smells like you're walking into almost like a spa, or just somewhere where they're burning incense and have, just more of a, I don't know, cozy. It's really cozy, and you can tell that it's just clean and nurturing. But That's the salon. That's the beauty factory right now.
Oh, I love that so much. And that is such an important part. I know for us, do you get a bunch of clients that walk in and they're like shocked by how it doesn't smell like your typical salon?
Yes, I mean that's one of the things that happens the most. Like people will walk in, and I have a chime that sounds when they come in, because that's sound can have pollution as well. So there's a chime when they walk in, and they're just greeted by just the vibe and the smells and the sounds. Like I'm very conscious of the music that I play, and they just like take a deep breath and they're like, it just feels so good in here. And I'm like, yes, that is what I want.
Yes, it is. It is what we want. And it's a very different feeling than some of our traditional salons. And now, and I want to preface that with it's not always better because there are some people out there, like we had clients before, like when I started switching everything over, and it was a very unique feeling, very slow paced, where you do get to breathe and you get to like just, I mean, that's the only way I can describe it is just taking a deep breath and relaxing and letting go of all of the stressors of your daily life. We honestly had some clients who don't love that. They want the fast pace. They want to be in and out. They don't like sitting. It's not their vibe. And that is okay too. I think what I've really learned over the years of having this type of salon is we don't have to be for everyone, and we get to provide a unique experience for a lot of people out there who just up until more recently didn't even have an environment like that to go to. So I think that that's a big differentiator is that, it doesn't have to be for everyone. And for those people who are highly sensitive to noise, to distraction, to chemicals, to caring about what they're putting on their bodies and in their bodies, now they at least have a place to go to get a cleaner, sustainable beauty routine, right? That's amazing.
I mean, you said it perfectly there, and I'm going to echo that. Like there is about 40% of humans are they get drained by social interaction, and they recharge in their quiet time, and they need a salon to go to. And a typical salon culture and business model is more like the stylists are there to entertain, the music is pumping, like it's kind of like a come and socialize, and then but for someone who gets drained by social interaction, they're wiped out by the time they don't like small talk, like they want to be able to go somewhere to just kind of like check out, maybe like hang out in their own head. And there are stylists who want that too. So when you can pair those together, you create a culture that is so different and so needed. And you're absolutely right. There are people who don't love that. Like I used to work with a guy who would give his clients lap dances, and they loved it. And that's they wouldn't like me because I get really quiet when I start creating. And I love when my people bring books. I love whenever they know that I don't need anything from you. I just need you to just relax, because when they're relaxed, I feel more creatively free. I don't feel like I have to like, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? So we have it set up to where we don't double book ourselves. And we have a very defined culture that we protect with very specific boundaries. Like we don't allow people to have their cell phone sounds on, and that's actually a huge turnoff for some people, because they want to sit there and watch videos or play Candy Crush and hear that chime. And we don't allow that in here. So I do end up turning some people away, but it just creates more room for the people who have been wanting something like this. And I love that.
Yeah. I think, really honing in on this, especially for anyone who's listening, like you may be one of those stylists who likes more of like the fun, interactive, and more upbeat, or just a different vibe. Now, that being said, it is so important. And one of the reasons it, like in the very beginning of the Holistic Salon Academy, I talk about creating your boundaries and creating that ideal environment that you want to be a part of, right? If you're creating a salon, you get to choose what that is. Now, all obviously, because I teach to sustainable, clean, and holistic beauty, that does not mean it has to be like a Zen meditative state. Like you can have clean beauty and be super like, pop culture and just out there, like whatever works for you. But the most important thing is to make sure that this type of environment works for you and your stylist and the kind of clients that you're attracting, right? And then focusing and basing everything off of clean, green, or sustainable beauty, because obviously that's what we're here to talk about, but how much freedom that actually brings along and how it doesn't have to look one way for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like to boil it down to it's just a matter of what trash can you put something in, and it's just a matter of which shampoo you're choosing. So you can have like uh, the traditional salon business model where the music is a certain genre and the energy is high and you're having those social interactions and it's silly and people, you can have all of that and still be sustainable. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just important to know what it is that you're looking for. Because I do think that we kind of get this stigmatism around clean or green products, that it's very granola or that it doesn't work as well as other brands. And that is just simply not the case. It gets to look however we want it to look. And because when I started this journey, it was 12, 13 years ago. Yeah, there wasn't any options. Like literally most of the products were like homemade stuff that had to be clean because there was no professional products, which thank goodness things have really taken a turn and there's so many more options now that give us that professional experience, and we can actually do our jobs the way that we've classically been trained.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's you do the best that you can with the information that you have. So if you are choosing, the products like that you're going to shampoo clients with and all of your styling products, you can look at their business practices. You can look at the way they source their ingredients. You can look at their environmental impact. Like, are they offsetting a negative environmental impact with donations? You can look at a lot of different areas to try to clean it up as much as possible. So I have, and I mean, you're right. The access that we have to cleaner products is so encouraging. Like Colton King, Inner Sense Organics, Away Organics. Like we have a lot of things available to us, and I love like when they use plant essence, for their fragrances instead of the perfumes. I mean, just little things like that. It might come in a plastic bottle, but the ingredients aren't going to make someone's autoimmune disorder flare up. So yeah, you're right. It's really inspiring, a really inspiring time in our industry right now.
Yeah, and we have so many options in, and you can choose what's the most important to you, whether it is getting rid of plastics or is it having all green ingredients, because green and clean are two totally different things. Do you care more about it being all clean ingredients? Now there's options out there and you get to pick and choose what's the most important to you. So when you started your business, I'd love to hear like what was your journey like going through and picking the products and bringing those things on? Like what was the most important to you in the very beginning and how has that like evolved?
Well, I like to be the type of consumer that I am is I want to buy it right the first time. I don't want to get something just because it says that it's green. I need it to work. And it is hard to find clean products that don't that actually clean your hair. Like sometimes you can get products that add more buildup, don't clean them properly or the hair properly. But I what I typically do is I'll research organic hairlines and then I'll purchase some for myself and see if I like it for myself. Or I'll purchase a small one and use it on clients. And then if I like it, then I'll start carrying it. And then I grow the line. And that's the way I found Oway Organics. So they're made on a biodynamic farm in Italy. And I think one day I would love to go there and maybe volunteer some time, doing whatever they do.
We should go together. I love OA. We're an OA salon as well. So I've been dying to go to Italy and see the farms.
They used to do yearly gatherings, and I haven't seen that in the last few years, but I think for $2,500 a person you could go. That was always a little steep, especially when you're first opening a salon. But I would love to do that. Just kind of go and learn more about the products and more about like what biodynamic farming is. But that's just, I mean, Google's great for finding products. We found InnerSense Organics early on, and that has proven to be a really great resource for my curly clients and for people who have some sensitivities. They can go down the list of ingredients and not find anything there that's going to make them flare up. So that's been really nice. Colton King is another one. They use very clean products and they have a small selection and they work together and do well. And you can tell when you're using these products that you're getting real plant essential oils. Like you can smell it in there and it's not offensive and it's not, it doesn't give you headaches and that sort of thing. So some of those sensitivities are absent, but that's, I think once you get started on that Google search, your algorithm is going to show you more things. And the more you hear about things that from different sources, that's kind of, I like to hear about things from different sources, not just one. I've tried other lines that I just wasn't impressed with. Either it doesn't smell very good or it's just not exciting. Like I need my products to be a little sexy, like I just want people to feel really proud, not just because it's clean, but because they're superior. Oway Organics, in my opinion, is superior. I mean, glossy nectar, everybody needs to have glossy nectar. And I like that some of these products have more than one use. You can put it on your body, you can put it on your baby, you can put it in your hair, you can put it on your kneecaps. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of having a cleaner brand is because you're not worried about all of the chemicals in it and what the repercussions would be if if you do put your hair products in with your on your baby's skin. I think I was reading somewhere or it was an article or something that they were talking about like having these brands that are made for babies and formulated for babies. That just means that it shouldn't have chemicals in it that would act as a reactionary like ingredient to cause issues on your baby. Well, why would we want that in general? Like our products should just not have that stuff in it for everyone, not just babies, right? Like that does not make a whole lot of sense to me. Where when you do choose cleaner and greener products, you have those options and you don't have to only put it on, you know, you and worry about if your child gets a hold of it, like that it's going to cause them allergies. I think that should be a normal, that we just have products that don't cause us to have issues. And unfortunately, that's not the case. There's so many products out there that are so toxic for us, and we don't even realize because we've been kind of just blindfolded and told what to use for so many years. And I know that it was quite the awakening for me once you started to like take a look at what was in our products that we were trained on, that is out there for everyone to use. Kind of crazy.
I mean, it's so crazy. And just considering the role that it can play just on your health, and you wouldn't put the two together. You wouldn't put what I'm putting on my hair or what I'm putting on my body is actually causing uh, hormone issues. I mean, there are hormone disruptors, but I love that there are websites that you can go to, like EWG, is that what it is? Where you can like enter ingredients and get like a score. They'll have a score of toxicity and how it's toxic. And a lot of things are like hormone disruptors. And with it, you can't avoid toxins altogether. You just can't. But if you have some options where you can kind of pick and choose some greener options, it just at least lessens the load on your body. It at least gives your body one less thing to have to fight. Because at some point, I mean, this is how autoimmune disorders get started. Your body has just turned against itself because there are so many foreign things in there that it doesn't know what's good and what's bad. It's just fighting. It's stressed out.
Yeah. Well, and I've said this a few times with the recommended amount of toxins. Like if you look at the ingredients and they're like, okay, well, it only has less than whatever the percentage is of this toxic ingredient and it's safe in small doses. Yes, I hear that. And when they write that on the product, they're also not expecting you to use 10 different things that have small recommended doses, like the safe doses, because they all compound on each other. So then all of a sudden you are literally overusing that chemical that should be safe in small doses because you've got 6 or 10 products that you use on a regular daily basis and it starts to compound. That's where it gets unsafe. It's not the one product that you're using that's so unsafe. It's putting them all together and then that compound effect, which nobody talks about. We don't talk about how disruptive that is to your system.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And just nodding, I have found that these cleaner products, especially body products, they feel more superior in my opinion, because when you are using, like, let's just say glossy nectar, you're not going to have those silicones on there that build up on your hair, because those are made in a lab. And I'm not saying every ingredient in there is from a plant, but when the power of the product is coming from a plant, you are tapping into your body's natural ability to um, to join with that instead of work against that. So I feel like there are a lot of products that are clean and organic that are superior to the ones that are not as clean. They're cutting corners in dirty ways to make the product last longer on a shelf, or to make it apply in a certain way or suds up in a certain way. Like, they're doing things that have nothing to do with what you're buying the product for profit. So you'll have people maybe more like an accountant making decisions about what goes into the bottle, instead of someone actually thinking about the consumer and what's best for the consumer. So I do like being able to just slow all of that down and cast my vote for something that is maybe grown slower and it maybe cost a little bit more, but I'm casting my vote for quality over quantity. I'm for health over profit. I I feel like that's, in my own way. I mean, that's where I can say I live with integrity, and I have a business that has integrity. There's something just all the way, like, on a soul level that connects with my customers. The response that I've had from the community just offering this, whenever I tell them what I'm doing, I'm like, because why not? Like, if I'm going to do something, why not do it like with integrity? Why not be great?
This episode is brought to you by the Holistic Salon Academy. At the Academy, you gain access to knowledge, tools, and a thriving community you need to excel in the clean, green, and sustainable beauty business. By joining the Holistic Salon Academy, you become a pioneer in a new era of beauty and wellness. Yeah, no, I love that. And, one of the things that I have realized after being in this industry for so long with the, sustainable and clean beauty is a lot of the times it's that whole why not question is simply because we don't even know that it's a possibility until we do, right? And that's literally the entire point and reason behind me having the podcast is to raise the awareness. Thank you for joining today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed the training. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about in today's training, or honestly, anything I've talked about on this podcast, I want you to go to www.cleanbeautybiz.com/advisor, or you can click the link in the show notes where you can ask me any questions you have about this episode or anything else that I have covered on this podcast. Again, that link is www.cleanbeautybiz.com, and this amazing little tool allows you to get your specific questions answered by me 24/7. That this is an option. And no matter where you come in, whether you come in and you're really highlighted on the sustainability and what your carbon footprint is, or if you want all green products and make sure that, every single one of your products and services have that green ingredient touch, or that you're just getting rid of the heavy toxins with the clean beauty, right? No matter which way you're coming in, that there is so many more options that there used to be, and that it is not only possible, but people like yourself are creating whole businesses with integrity that is changing up the way we think about beauty. And I love that you said that your clients, because that's going to be my next question, is how have you noticed changes with your clients? Like, do you get more clients who care about this? Are they willing to pay the prices? Like, what is your experience there?
I mean, the feedback from my community has been very positive. On the business side, just being able to show that you're different in a way that is giving back to the community, protecting the community, having a positive impact on the community. Lots of businesses look for ways to show that they are that. This is a really practical, measurable, data-driven way to show a positive impact on your community. So my clients are drawn to that. So there is a business aspect to it. On a more personal aspect, there are so many people who are aware of the amount of just, we keep saying the word toxins, but just like they are aware that there is a cleaner way to do things, a healthier way to do things, and providing that for them. And then developing that trust relationship with them where I say, if I say something is good, I have a relationship with my community now to where they trust me. And I do not take that lightly. I feel a great sense of responsibility, and I feel very capable to live up to that responsibility. And I have a lot of people bringing things into me saying, this is a clean product, this is how it's marketed. And I'll run through my clients and my customers, and anybody who works for me knows that I will take every ingredient and run it through the online database telling me this is not clean, or this isn't special. Like this, maybe it doesn't have like as many toxins, but the fact that it's in plastic bottles and the fact that it's, there are different things that I look at, and my community trust me. So there are people who are struggling with health issues. I mean, a lot of times people don't make changes in their lives until they have, until it's an emergency, and they find that it can almost make them upset because you can go and go and go and your body fights and fights and fights, and then suddenly you have like a health crisis, and now you have to make these changes. And I like being an option for people who have suddenly become more aware of, and they can get really excited about it and really militant about it, and I can answer those questions. I can offer them the peace that they're looking for, so that whenever they come here, they don't feel like they're sabotaging their health, or putting something on their bodies that is going to just compound the issues that they're already dealing with. So being able to be a place like that for my community is a huge honor.
Oh, I love that. It's so important because everyone deserves to have a safe space to go, right? That was just like our beginning conversation of like choosing what's important to you, and that you are that type of business in your community that is standing for something and a safe place. That's huge. And like, you've gotten feedback from your clients, like this is needed in the industry. We should be able to have this type of business everywhere. And that's one of my goals with the academy, is teaching other salon owners everywhere that there is this type of option, that it does not have to be outrageously expensive. It does not have to be hard. It does not have to be so time consuming. Like, it's literally just learning a little bit of a different way of doing it, but there's all the options are there for us if we're open and willing to just think a little bit differently. And our clients, like you've seen and you just said, is they're starting to demand it, right? They are so knowledgeable now, and they're powered with the internet just like we are, where they have seen like there's options out there, but then so many clients don't have a place to go to because it's just not as easily accessible to them. And I think that that's a number one thing, is like really starting to look at how can you start creating that safe environment in your area, and let's make this a thing. Let's make this the next big thing where it then becomes every salon is a safe environment.
I agree. I agree. It's so easy too. So when people come in here, it's such a part of our everyday that we don't think about it anymore. Well, like we sweep up the hair, we put the hair in the trash. We take out the foils, we put the foils in the trash. We wash the hair, we blow dry the hair. But what we're not talking about, because it's just everyday, but somebody who has like a traditional salon business model, instead of putting all the foils and hair and everything in the same trash can, just get two stackable things from IKEA, and the bottom one is for the hair and the top one is for the foils. Done. When it comes to the water that we use eco heads. They have a higher water pressure, so you're using less water. It actually feels better on the client's scalp. That's another thing that salon owners, I think, need to consider as well. All of these changes, it's a win-win. It's a win for you, it's a win for the clients, and it's a win for the environment. So you're saving money on water, and the clients have a better scalp massage because of the water pressure. Here we only use Dyson blow dryers because of the sound pollution. They just have technology where you only hear the air, you don't hear a motor running, so there's a frequency that's been completely cut out. And it dries the hair a lot faster, and it's a lot healthier for the hair. So there's so many, just find those things that are a win-win, a win for you, a win for the client. And it's almost like a game. It's fun. It's like a puzzle. It's like it's actually it's really enjoyable to find all the ways. Like we don't have paper towels. We in the bathroom we use towels, and that makes our clients feel fancy. Like towels, and we put in absolutely like, and that is a lot cheaper for me. Actually, being eco-friendly, I feel like has saved me a ton of money. So while some of the products might be a little pricier, when you break it down, and I'm a spreadsheet nerd, I love spreadsheets, but I have the cost of color down to the gram, and it's not that much more for the client. When you have a tube of color and you have your developer, and let's say it's a $13 tube of color when you could probably get it for $6 or $7 over here, $13, but you divide it among your clients, we're talking about a couple of dollars. Clients are not going to balk at a couple of dollars when they don't have a achy scalp, when they aren't like their eyes aren't watering because of the ammonia in the color. And it is what it is. I mean, if someone is going to feel like, you know, that couple dollars matters, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I might not be the spot for you, but I think that once they get a taste of cleaner products and the efficacy of the products and the consistency in the pricing. I mean, when you have the whole package, you're gonna kind of ruin people for other salons because it feels good to go there. It feels good on a moral level and it feels good on a health level.
Oh, for sure. And the thing too is when we are really thinking about business, and this is whether we're clean or sustainable or traditional, when we break everything down, the entire idea behind a successful business is providing value for the client, right? You don't provide value, you don't really have a business. It's not going to last very long. So when we're going and we're looking at this from a business standpoint of, does this make sense and what type of value does this provide? It's a no-brainer because you're able to provide a beautiful experience that they're not going to, balk at the price because they're not coming in and just saying, okay, I want to buy this and it's so much more money. They're getting an experience behind the entire thing. And when they feel that experience and that difference, I've even had clients go, "Oh, that's it? It's only this for your services?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then it makes me think, I'm like, well, maybe I need to up my prices, but you know, but because my value is so much higher than the dollar amount attached to that. But it does take thinking about what you're doing and how making these changes in your business will provide value, not cost more. You invest because you're providing a higher value, and that will alone will get more clients in your door.
100%. There are so many different choices that clients have in each town, and deciding what makes them choose you. It's more than your technical ability and it's more than your creativity. It's the experience that you offer them. And being a sustainable salon is an experience. I mean, just by nature of this different smells. I mean, it's an experience. And so that is what's going to make people choose you over another salon and stick with you, even if maybe you get their bob a little uneven. Like there's more to you than just the hair. And I love that. I love looking at it as more of an experience for every person that comes in here and the people who work here. I have a stylist who came to me from a very, very popular salon here in town with over 20, maybe 30 stylists. I mean, it is just constantly busy and it's a little chaotic. and in a way where, if that's what you want, then you are going to love it there. But she was considering not doing hair anymore because the color was just eating her hands. She was just raw, and she's not super sensitive. I haven't seen her have any issues with anything else. Like, she wears makeup, but her hands were being eaten up. And when she started working here, her hands healed, and she hasn't had an issue since. And that is huge. What is it, if it's doing that to like hands, what is it doing to scalps and behind the ears? I mean, it's for the stylist too. It's for anybody who works for you. They're getting a benefit from the sustainable practices as well.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And you provide that safe space as a salon owner for those stylists. Like, I can't tell you how many stylists I know personally who literally had to get out of the business because their bodies just couldn't handle the overload of toxins. Because when we talk about these ingredients, a client is only around these ingredients a short amount of time. Whereas the stylist, think about in your career how many days and how many hours you've been behind the chair and how many chemicals you have come in contact with that, again, this whole compound effect. There are a lot of chemicals in our products and in our waterways, and we won't even go down that lane, but the forever chemicals that don't leave your body. Right? So when we think about how that compounds, like, you may not have had an issue when you started in the salon, but over 10 years, over 20 years, over 26 like you, 24, almost 25 like me, it compounds. And then you can start having issues at any moment because it's too much for your body. So that's such a good point. And being able to provide a safe space for those stylists to come in and feel safe and not have to give up their craft. Because let's face it, we get into this industry because we love what we do. It's not just a job for us. If it is just a job for you, you typically won't stay in it for very long, right? But those people who have been in it for as long as we have, it's because we actually enjoy what we do. And I would be devastated if I had to stop my craft because my body was so overloaded with toxins that I could not do it anymore.
Absolutely. Before I opened my own salon, working for someone else, I noticed that I was allergic to something. I'm like, I'm either allergic to hair, which would be awful, or like something in the color, because my nose would start running and I just get that tickle in the back of my throat where I needed to have something to suck on the entire time I was doing someone's hair. Otherwise, I'd just be doing that annoying coughing thing. And it's awful. Like, it's almost like giggling in church, where like when you shouldn't be, like it just makes it even worse. And then but when you have to cough, you get that tickle in your throat and you're just like, oh my gosh, I am not sick. Like, if when I leave the salon, this is not happening. So it was almost just like kind of funny. Like, it's just one of those things you just have to put up with. But whenever I started using cleaner products, never happens. It never happens. And the thing is like, I don't, it's this is a human wide thing. I don't think very many people naturally think, I'm feeling this way, it must be this. Like, they're not putting it together. I'm feeling this way. I don't know what it is. I'm just coming down with something. It could be something that you're exposed to all day. And you are so right about the client is there every maybe 5 weeks for a couple of hours being exposed to these chemicals. Our hands are in them. We are smelling them. They are on our clothes. Like, we are handling this all day, every day. And we need to know what this is. We need to know. I mean, this is not a fair. Anybody who's a statistician is not going to like what I'm about to say, because it's not going to hold up with the numbers. I'd be very curious what the statistics are of hairdressers with different forms of cancer, because there are so many times where I will get like a GoFundMe for a hairdresser who, has breast cancer. Well, this is why I'm sort of like backing off of it a little bit, because the statistically, like the percentage of hairdressers who are women is going to skew those numbers. But there are sicknesses and there are things that happen to hairdressers that I'm wondering what role all of the chemicals that we're using all the time play. It'd be the same as like a lawn care provider. If he gets sick, he's in chemicals or she's in chemicals all day long, and you just have to consider that. This is our career, this is our life. Like, we want to live long, happy, beautiful lives, creating beauty. I mean, I love hair. That's the only thing I've ever wanted to do, and to think that my career could be making me not be my best. I mean, at worst, I have a tickle in my throat and a runny nose the entire time I'm doing hair. I mean, that's super annoying. But at worst, I mean, you could actually get something that is a lot more sinister. And if you can avoid that, if you can clean things up in a way that everybody wins, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And the fact is just like you look at certain industries like coal miners, they know for a fact that after breathing it in for so long, I mean, don't they call it like black lung or something like that? I mean, but okay, so we don't have that dramatic of I think what is that word that I'm looking for? Like they haven't put it together, right? Because it's not so dramatic that it's different things that pop up in our industry that I don't think has been directly linked because it is a combination of things, right? But when we talk about that combination, and if somebody has lead poisoning or a different type of poisoning that is, it very much can be tied to what we do on a day-to-day basis, but is also probably we come in contact with a lot of things, right? Because if we're not just working behind the chair, but then all of our products at home and then everything else that we're being around, right? They haven't tied it together as just being behind the chair. And I know that there was a study that I looked at. This is a few years back, so I'd have to pull it back up and try to see if there's an updated study that there are higher numbers of certain cancers and certain illnesses, specifically in hairstylists, because we're around these chemicals all the time. And we saw just recently with the straightening. I mean, think about if that has happened for clients who use the straightening. I can't think of the name. What was the one that was just in the
Are you talking about the formaldehyde and the Brazilian blowouts and keratin treatments?
no, the straighteners for, oh my gosh, I cannot think of it. It'll come to me anyway. We'll keep moving, but these things are tied to our health, and we have seen huge uptick in people getting sick in our industry. So do they have the studies completely done? No, but that also takes time, right? They have to find what is happening and also money behind getting studies like this, which unfortunately doesn't always happen. So, my whole point to this rambling on is when you know that something is not great for you to be breathing in all day, every day, what is the harm of you just eliminating one thing? One thing, one thing. Thank you for joining today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed the training. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about in today's training, or honestly, anything I've talked about on this podcast, I want you to go to www.cleanbeautybiz.com/advisor. Or you can click the link in the show notes where you can ask me any questions you have about this episode or anything else that I have covered on this podcast. Again, that link is www.cleanbeautybiz.com, and this amazing little tool allows you to get your specific questions answered by me 24/7. It's not going to harm you to eliminate it. Yes, maybe it won't completely, deter you from getting sick. It's not going to be the end all be all. But when we can start eliminating one thing at a time, we're only giving ourselves a better chance at not getting sick and taking care of our health. It's the same with our food. Like if we just say, nah, I'm just going to eat McDonald's every day, why not? There was a study on that. They had a whole movie about it, right? It's a very conscious choice. So we have choices, and it's important to start making those small choices that will have a bigger impact on your day to day, on your health. Because you had, the itchy throat and the runny nose. I would walk away with a mild headache every day after work. Vision was a little like, you just get those where it's starting to become a migraine, but it was just kind of that annoying. I did not tie it to what I was working around until I stopped working around it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, you know what? It's been like a month and I haven't had a headache. How amazing is that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've noticed, like in my own practice. And it kind of reiterating what you just said, but when you know better, you do better. And instead of just taking your entire business and just turning it upside down, getting overwhelmed and frustrated, like just start with one thing, just one thing. It's, you mentioned like you mentioned food earlier, and I remember when I started to kind of revamp my food, because once you go down that rabbit hole of healthy stuff versus unhealthy stuff, once you go down that rabbit hole, it makes you want to change everything. It gets you a little fired up, but that can be overwhelming. And when it's overwhelming, it's not sustainable, and you're not going to stick with it. But something that I learned in the beginning that was really, really helpful was, instead of being like, okay, well, I can't eat that and I can't do that and I can't whatever, be like, just add one thing to your plate. Have everything on your plate the way you want it, but just add something healthy on there. Like if you're not a big vegetable eater, then add some broccoli on there. Like it doesn't have to be that, black and white, but just start adding what you need. Like pay attention to your body. What is your body telling you? Like, I think my body's telling me I need some magnesium, because we all need that. I think my body's telling me I need magnesium. So how can I eat to give my body more magnesium? And then add that to your plate. Eventually, when you start listening to your body and you start paying attention to your symptoms, and you start being, well, I think I need this, it starts pushing the other stuff off, because so you're adding instead of subtracting. So in your salon, just add one thing, or like replace that one trash can with two trash cans, one for plastic, one for, stuff that's not plastic. And then be like, we do go through a lot of paper here. Let's have a trash can for paper and a trash can for plastic and a trash can for stuff that we don't know what to do with yet. You don't have to look at the numbers on the bottom of the bottle if you don't want to. Like, you just do your best, and don't go for perfection, and just do one little thing at a time. Like, spread it out throughout the year. This month we're going to focus on using less whatever. This month we're gonna, it doesn't matter. You can make it a fun sort of like salon-wide project of, let's bring in less styrofoam lunch stuff, and let's start like having some potlucks. Like, let's start like celebrating, in a different way. And it's that not only is super practical, but it also gets everybody on the same page of making those small differences. I could come up with ideas all day about getting everybody involved in tiny things like that, but I like what you said about just one small thing that you can do that's different.
Yeah, it's progress over perfection. And it's just focusing, because the fact is I have run my salon for 12 years. I did not start my salon with all the things that I'm doing right now. Like, we do a lot. We focus heavily on all clean, all sustainable, all green products. Did not start that way. I started my salon journey because I started using cleaner, like I got rid of the cleaning toxins at my house and then started on the food and, just trickling these things into my house. And I started implementing them into the salon around the same time. So you don't have to do everything over once. And you said it perfectly of like, if you try to do all of it, it's not sustainable and you will stop. And when you stop, then you're negating everything that you've already done. And that's going to be even worse, because then you also have a very negative energy around being clean and sustainable because you burned yourself out. So taking one step at a time. And I mean, we could go down this. Ooh, my doggie just dropped something in the background there. She's taking a nap. I don't know if you can see her. Nope, she's hiding. But it's we could talk a whole nother hour on this topic alone of just taking one step at a time. But I do want to be mindful of time, and I just thank you so much for being on the episode, for showing your brilliance and all of the amazing things that you're doing, and for taking that step towards not only having your own salon, but sharing what you have noticed with others, because that's how we come together. Like, that is what is needed in the industry right now, is to share the things that are working, the things that are challenging, right? There's a lot of things that are challenging in this too. And we've touched in a few, topics here as well. So thank you for just being here and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love talking about this stuff because I'm so passionate about it. So thank you.
I appreciate it. And then let us know where we can follow you so everyone can, reach out, talk to you, talk to me, and continue this conversation.
I would love that. I'm on Instagram. It's the Beauty Factory Salon. There's just one word, the Beauty Factory Salon on Instagram, and you can send me a DM and we can talk about this stuff all day.
I love it. All right. Well, and as usual, I'll have all of her information in the show notes. So make sure that you check back in the show notes so that you can follow her, you know, connect with Serena, with myself, ask all the questions, and join the community, because I've been talking about it here, Green Beauty Community, where there is so many resources, so much community and love and support all around. So you definitely want to make sure that you connect there with us. And thank you again for listening, for being here, and sharing your beautiful self. Thank you for tuning in to the Salon Owner's Holistic Blueprint. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. Until next time, stay inspired, stay passionate, and keep thriving in the world of holistic beauty.